this is how I really think the Greek story really went. And this is just my theory. Uranus, this is what started everything. This is what started this whole cycle. From Zeus to Zeus fighting Saturn and the Titans and the gods and all. This is what started it. I bet you. I ain't lived. Look. It's just a theory. Saturn wanted Uranus's throne. Saturn wanted Uranus's sight. Saturn wanted Uranus's gifts. Uranus told Saturn, these are my gifts. Saturn, you have your own gifts. You have your own rings. You have your own crown. But Saturn said, I don't want my rings. I want yours. Uranus said, well, you can't have it. Like, it's mine. So Saturn made a plot. Saturn told Gaia, Uranus cheated on you with another woman. Gaia got mad and believed Saturn. And so she cursed she cursed Uranus. She told Saturn how to kill Uranus, cutting his balls off, basically. And she was going to set him up, get him in bed, and that's when Uranus was going to be the most vulnerable. And that's when you can kill him, because that's where his power was, his balls. Sounds very similar to Set in Osiris. Osiris's power was in Osiris's penis. It wasn't in anything else. It was in his dick. That was the last thing that Isis had to go and find. That was what made Osiris powerful. Set knew that. It's all the same story. So anyway, that's what happened. So Gaia was manipulated by Saturn. Uranus was the real victim because Uranus wasn't trying to usurp control or do anything to Saturn. Saturn wanted Uranus's throne because Saturn was jealous and envious because Saturn wanted to be on top. But Saturn didn't understand that he could rule his own world. He's trying to be the king of the heavens instead of the king of Saturn. And expanding Saturn. Saturn didn't like what he had. And so the same cycle repeated down. Saturn was afraid because that karma came back, because Uranus knew that Saturn would do this because Uranus had foresight. So there is a prophecy that Saturn got once he became the king. Your son will overthrow you. That's when this cycle started. So Saturn ate all of his children. Rhea, Saturn's wife, didn't like that. So what did Rhea do? She hid the child. Because this one child was different. So he hid the child amongst ponds. Zeus was raised around humans. That's why Zeus always fucking humans. Because Zeus was raised around humans. Around the cattle, the sheep. The sheep are humans. Zeus was raised around humans. That's why he falls in love with them so much. Right? On Earth, Gaia took care of Zeus, watched over him, helped Zeus rise into his divinity so he could overthrow Saturn. The prophecy was fulfilled. Zeus, although Zeus had his own struggles, because Zeus fell in love with Hera. But Zeus loved humans too much. And I believe that Zeus loved humans more than he loved Hera. And Hera always put him in that position. Hera does not like humans because Hera was not raised around them. Remember, Hera, Hades, most of those gods were swallowed in Saturn. They were living in Saturn. They weren't on Earth. This is just my theory. Just my theory. And I think that's what happened. I believe that in the demigod stories, the demigods are earning their divinity. They are demigods, where they learn that they are half divine. They come into understanding of it. Doesn't matter what age, they just come into an understanding, because more than likely they're different in some way or another. Shout out to Rick Royden. They meet their group, they meet their tribe, because 9 times out of 10 they're outsiders. You know, they're outsiders. And then they go on a quest for their divinity, and they meet other divine beings or half divine beings, and they rise together. Just my theory. Again, just my theory. Because their quest is to become divine, to realize into their own divinity. The gods, the divine beings, they help, but they don't help. And that's where the disconnect is, because they don't teach them how to be divine. They just tell them to do this, and that's where the demigods get upset, because you're telling me to do this, but you're not explaining why I need to do this. Why is this important? And so the demigods get upset at the gods, and then they fight. Or the demigods are promoted into being a divine being like Hercules. But that doesn't always mean that there's levels. Because there's major and then there's minor. They get raised to a minor. So they're still kind of being controlled in a way. The key is stop trying to control. Stop trying to control people. And learn to love with you what you have. End the cycle of jealousy and learn to love what you have. Stop looking at other people. Stop looking at your neighbor's wife. Love the wife that you have. Stop looking at what somebody else's husband is doing for his wife. If you're unhappy with what your husband is doing, tell him. If he does not change, leave. Don't stay, because then that's your fault. Because you stayed when you should have left. Because you were afraid. You were afraid of change. Don't be afraid of change. Embrace it, because there's going to be somebody that pulls up and loves you endlessly, and your children. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to get back up and get married again. Don't be afraid to love again. Don't shut yourself out. Don't you dare give up on love, because that's the one true blessing in all of this. That's the secret. Love. Not just any love. True love. True love always prevails, and it kills any curse. True love's kiss. Where the fuck do you think that came from? True love's kiss can break any curse. So if you feel like you're cursed, guess what? You need to go and find that true love, baby, and break that curse. And it can come in many ways. It can come as a child born of true love. That was Henry from Once Upon a Time. That's why he was the writer. the creator. Because the child born out of true love, fill in the blank. All right, y'all. That's just my theory, though. Just a theory. It's just a rain theory. But all right, y'all.